I chose this lesson on first impressions because of that line repeated in the gospel. There is something greater than that here. In this day and age, we hear that boast often. We hear it from athletes. We hear it from movie stars. We hear it from politicians. But it's always, and almost every time, not fulfilled. But with Jesus, it was fulfilled. There was something greater than that here. So let us listen to this parable. Yes, I'm teaching with parables today. A pastor transformed himself into a homeless man and went to the church that he was to be introduced to as the head pastor that morning. He walked around his soon-to-be church for 30 minutes while it was filling with people for the service. Only 3 people said hello to him. Most looked the other way. He asked people for change to buy food because he was hungry. No one gave him anything. He went into the sanctuary to sit down in the front of the church and was told by the ushers that he would need to get up and go sit in the back of church. He said hello to people as they walked in, but was greeted in response with cold stares and dirty looks from people looking down on him and judging him. He sat in the back of church and listened to the church announcements of the week. He listened as new visitors were welcomed into the church that morning, but no one acknowledged him. No one welcomed him or noted that he was new. He watched people around him continue to look his way with side glances and stares that said quite clearly, "You are not welcome here." Then the elders of the church went to the podium to make the announcement. They said they were excited to introduce the new pastor of the church to the congregation. "We would like to introduce to our new pastor," they said. The congregation stood up and looked around, clapping with anticipation. And then the homeless man sitting in the back stood up and started walking up the aisle. One by one, the clapping stopped, and the church became silent. All the eyes were upon him as he walked up the aisle and onto the altar and reached for the microphone. He stood there for a moment in the silence, and they recited elegantly a verse from the Bible. "Then the king will say to those on his right, 'Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty. You gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me.' Then the righteous will answer him, 'Lord, when did we ever see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we ever see you as a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?" The king will reply, "Truly, I tell you, whatever you did for the least of my brothers and sisters, you will do for me." After the pastor had recited this, he introduced himself as the new pastor and told the congregation what he had experienced this morning. Many began to cry and bow their heads in shame. He said, "Today I see a gathering of people here, but I do not see a church of Jesus Christ. The world has enough people that look the other way. What the world needs is disciples of Jesus that can follow this teaching and live as he did." I ask you, when will you decide to become his disciples? When will you follow his teachings? With that, he dismissed the service, for his sermon had been given. Yes, there is something greater than that here. Whenever you see a homeless person, whenever you see someone poor, look in their eyes. See them. See the spark of divinity in their face. Never, ever look away.